An anomaly occurred during the testing of the first orbital flight hardware for RFA. What happened? We will get an amazing insight from the CEO himself. Keep watching. Boeing and Starliner. Boeing. What are the new updates concerning Boeing stack on the International Space Station? We bring you the updates. The long-awaited Polaris Dawn mission eminent. Let's get some updates. Hello guys, welcome to the video and welcome to Space Expanse, the channel where we don't miss a tweet about the spaceflight industry. As usual, there has been a lot of amazing updates, milestones and achievements in the past few weeks. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So we start today's episode from Elon Musk, the two towers. SpaceX second launch tower stack as the newest addition to Starbase. Now we were all aware that SpaceX was building a second launch tower at Boca Chica, Texas to increase their launch cadence, and I think they've done a fantastic job within a small time frame. What this tower is lacking is the launch mount and the chopsticks, and we are good to go. Starbase is looking so amazing. Just look at these twin towers just standing there. How crazy is that? And from SpaceX, double Dragons ready for flight ahead of the Polaris Dawn and Crew 9 human space flight. Now just look at this amazing twin spacecraft. How beautiful is the Dragon capsule? This is just incredible. Seeing this twin capsules in one picture is just absolutely show off. It's just a show off. This is so beautiful. And from SpaceX, shortly thereafter, Dragon arrived at our hangar at Pad 39A ahead of Falcon 9's launch of Polaris Dawn. Now just look at this beautiful, this magnificent Polaris Dawn spacecraft. This is just amazing. The Dragon capsule always gives me the chills. It's so beautiful. God. From Elon, this will be the first spacewalk by a commercial company and the farthest from Earth anyone has traveled in over half a century. Bonkers. They are going higher than anyone has gone in over. God damn. This is so amazing. From SpaceX, targeting Tuesday, August 27th for launch of Polaris Dawn. You heard that right? It's time. Let's watch this amazing video. We from Space Expanse would love to hear your feedback. So if you like the video, kindly drop us a like, follow the channel and talk to us in the comments if there's any way that we can improve the channel for our viewers. If you also want to be featured in our videos, just tag us on X and we will get back to you. We will take your comments and we will integrate it into our videos. Thank you for liking. And from NASA commercial crew, engineering and spacecraft specialists from NASA and Boeing Space continue data analysis ahead of a decision this week on the path forward for Starliner return from the space station. Boring. The news concerning Starliner right now just pisses me off. It just blows my mind. It just pisses me off completely. I don't even want to talk about this. Again, from the NCC, NASA will return Starliner to Earth without NASA's astronauts. Just look at this. Starliner will return from the ISS without the astronauts it sent to space. If this capsule returns back to Earth and they progress with this, I am going to lose my mind just completely. At this point, just decommission this old relic, throw it away somewhere, and start from the ground up. Build something quality, something better. Boeing can't be making these mistakes in space. It's simply unacceptable. It's simply unacceptable. It just completely blows my mind why NASA is still, goodness gracious. And from RFA, updates on our S1 test anomaly. Our first stage is gone, but we have collected a significant amount of data and film footage. After reviewing it, we want to share some insight into the technical analysis, conclusions, and our next steps. Those how this happens, but let's watch this video and get some answers.
The plan for Monday was to hotfire the stage with all 9 engines for the first time. We would ignite the center engine and then pairs of 2 engines with a small delay. We have gone through the entire filling process. We have gone through the chill down process, and we have pressed the vehicle, and the plan was to run this test for a total duration of 35 seconds until propellant depletion. That has worked fairly well. We actually ignited 8 motors. Unfortunately, one of these motors has developed an anomaly. We know now from the debris analysis that we have conducted in the last days that this anomaly was a very unusual one. It was most likely a fire in the oxygen pump. That's really difficult to contain. This damage has spread onto neighboring engines, and when the stage introduced the emergency stop procedure, it appears that everything that followed thereafter was simply not sized for this extensive damage from this oxygen fire in the turbo pump. The fact that there was a fire jet coming out on the side of the vehicle is indicative that the engines that were compromised have damaged the propellant manifolding to such a great extent that we're actually pushing kerosene out of those vent lines. And that is really the point of no return. The engine propellant manifold system was damaged to such a great extent that kerosene kept fueling the fire. The fire got more and more intense. We know from the debris analysis that the fire actually turned into an oxygen fire at a later point in time, because large portions of engines were simply combusted. They are no longer there. And that has unfortunately compromised the entire thrust frame structure of the stage. And unfortunately, the entire stage collapsed from that result. The fire suppression systems, first the CO2 fire suppression system, then the water fire suppression system, were simply not adequately sized to deal with this kind of damage. Unfortunately, this has happened in that very important stage test, and unfortunately, this has taken out the entire stage. This comes at a really critical time. We wanted to launch within the next few weeks and months, and this is unfortunately no longer possible. We have inspected the damage on the site, and we have realized a few things. First, when the stage collapsed, it actually collapsed in the right direction, meaning that it did not collapse on the umbilical tower, and it did not collapse into the direction where it would have caused major damage on the launch site infrastructure. The launch site infrastructure is fine. There is basically no damage on the launch site systems except the direct supporting systems of the stage that are integrated on the launch stool, that are basically sitting right around the engines. Those systems were compromised. We have to rebuild them, but there is no major elements of the launch site infrastructure that have to be rebuilt. We have ignited these Helix motors more than 100 times, and we have never seen an oxygen fire in one of the turbo pumps. This is the very first time, and we are quite confident that this is not related to the design. We are quite confident that the design is very sound, and we don't have to make any changes there. We have a lot of improvements for both the launch stool and the vehicle. It's important to note that this was the very first stage that we ever built. It was basically the engineering model. We have the second first stage in the workshop downstairs, and there are more than 100 improvement tickets on that second build. The stage that we're building now was originally meant for Flight 2. We will now built it and constructed for Flight 1, and it will have many improvements. The improvements mostly are related to propellant manifolding, to pressurization system manifolding, and the improvements will help us to sustain a major engine damage in flight and on the pad without basically losing the stage. The launch tool improvements will relate to the fire suppression systems mostly. We want to make sure that if we have such a severe engine failure where a turbopump basically explodes, we will not lose stages in the future. It's important to note that the second stage, the third stage and the fairing are all ready for flight in Saxaford. They are there in our integration hangar waiting for the integration activities. The most important task for us to become a real launcher company is obviously injecting payload into orbit. If you have not injected payload into orbit, you're not a real launcher company. We will attempt that as quickly as possible. We will have to rebuild engines, we have to rebuild the stage, but we will be back on the pad relatively quickly. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you for all the message, and thank you for all the wishes that we have received. Enjoy the footage. It is very spectacular and it has cost us quite some money to generate. We will be back on the pad shortly, and we will come back with a stage that is better than what we have had there previously.